our guest, Fred Hearns, who is actually rebuilding the Tampa Bay area and giving back what his historian is. Welcome to the show, number one. I'll let you speak.
Thank you very much. Well, actually, I hope I'm inspiring other people to rebuild Black America, the institutions that we had back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s when I was growing up, primarily in the 60s, that made our communities strong. We've lost some of those.
Yeah, why do you think we've lost some of those?
Yeah. You know, sometimes you look at progress, and it depends on what progress is. I think because of the integration that we went through during the 1960s when all of the schools were desegregated, we had some of the best teachers in the world at the all-black schools because that's the only place they could work. Once integration came in and students were scattered everywhere, many of our principals lost their jobs, you know, because there were not enough schools for them to transfer to in the same capacity. Also because I think, you know, things came a little easier to the next generation and people didn't go back to some of the old, you know, values that I think we grew up with.
The roots, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. Saying yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am,
don't
working
do that
hard.
Anymore.
Absolutely, working hard. You know, a lot of times kids think things should just come to them because they're there.
Well, you're talking about that in the African American culture, right? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I got to tell you, though, you know, it's not only there where it's not the yes sir, no sir, and the dilapidation of society. You know what I mean? It almost seems like a lot of that has gone by the wayside for everybody. You know, this, you know, Black History Month. What does it mean to you? And it crosses so many platforms that I just don't even think that it's. I think the residual effect on it on the rest of the country and the rest of the world is as important as it is for the creators of it.
Well, we owe a lot to Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who started Black Negro History Week, actually, back in the 1920s, and now we have a whole month. Hooray, it's the shortest month in the year, but at least we have the month of February to help educate people. And, you know, yes, racism still exists, but we can't use that as an excuse. What we have to do is take the anger that some of us may still feel, turn it into something positive, and use it as an opportunity to educate people about the positive contributions of African Americans.
Yes.
Well, I want to talk about Middleton a little bit. You spent a lot of time rebuilding Middleton High, and your philosophy is brick by brick. Obviously, you're passionate. What went into that, and why Middleton?
Well, it was a 12-year journey. And I'm a 1966 graduate of Middleton High School. And the alumni always felt that after 1971, when the school was closed as a high school, that we wanted the school reopened in East Tampa. It took us 12 years of lobbying the school board, working with other local officials, raising funds, raising awareness. Finally, we got the school reopened in 2002, and that was very important. That's a very important institution to have. And we had no high school
why
in
is it
East
important?
Tampa. It's important because there are a lot of lessons that you learn at home, but there are many other lessons you learn at school.
Right.
You know, there's a structured environment. We had no high school in East Tampa for over 30 years. I think that's one of the reasons we have so many issues in East Tampa, and we're just now trying to attack those with a high school there.
Wow, I never knew that, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I learn something new every time I do the show and every time I meet people, and you're very interesting. You know, you've got a lot of passion for this. Where does that come from? I mean, how do you self-motivate yourself, or how do you continue?
And Rob, and he's so many different things. He's a historian, he's a journalist, he's an author.
I mean, you
there's
look
the
at this
activist.
thing,
You're
how
pretty
big
much
is your
everything.
business card?
Well, I think, you know, those of us who received a lot in life owe a lot in life to others. And it's not, you know, good just to take what you've got and take the money and run and go hide somewhere and, you know, and say, well, let everybody else figure it out for themselves. I've learned some valuable lessons through life. Trial and error, made a lot of mistakes, but what I've learned, I tried to put into the book, Rebuilding Black America Brick by Brick, sort of a roadmap, a guide to other people who are community activists. First of all, the lesson is things don't happen overnight.
Oh, yeah, no
Also,
kidding.
You've got to believe in God. You've got to believe in a higher being. Call on that higher being when things get rough, and you'll see your way through to the end.
Yeah, wow, that's great.
Do you think, and this might be a question you might not want to answer, but do you think, you've obviously affected Tampa Bay area and Black history, do you think 15, 20, 30, 60 years from now, Fred Hearns will be in the books as the guy who rebuilt Middleton or the activist who paved the way for Black Americans?
Well, I hope so, but more important than that, I hope that there are young people who maybe I've, sparked an interest in them in becoming community activists and giving back to their community once they go off and get their education and come back and do something for the city. I hope I'm remembered in that way.
You also are involved in, tell us about your bus tours.
Bus tours. I invented the Tampa Bay History Bus Tour about 5 years ago, and it grew. It actually started out as a Black History Bus Tour. It grew and grew and grew, and now it covers pretty much history of the whole Tampa Bay region. We do this tour. It's normally about a 3-hour bus tour around the historic neighborhoods in the city. We take people to the Tampa Bay Hotel, to Oaklawn Cemetery, where the first person buried there was a slave in 1850, right in the middle of the city, and many people don't even know we have a slave burial ground there. A lot of the information we share that really surprises people who thought they knew Tampa.
You say you started with the bus tour that was sort of just about a certain area, but then it kind of took over all of Tampa, But I think it's important to note that the African American, they were involved all over Tampa. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not just one separate little area. It was a big part of its growing up and where it is today, right?
Absolutely. Well, we know that in the 20s and 30s, Tampa was known as the cigar city. It still is in some quarters because of Vicente Martinez Ybor bringing the cigar industry here in 1886. But the reason that we had a cigar industry and the reason that we had so many other things happen here, Henry Plant bringing the trains here, I think really was because of the port of Tampa back in 1850. That's what brought the railroad. That's what brought everything else. And to a large extent, the longshoremen, who were predominantly African American, made the port what it is.
We have to take our break, and fascinating talking to you. You mentioned your book. Is it for sale? Where can people get it? Contact information for you?
Is it for sale? You're damn right it's for sale.
It's for sale. They can reach me at 813-866-5205.
Do you have a web presence for that book?
Don't have a web page now, but my email address is fhearns@netzero.net.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much for coming on. It's a pleasure talking to you.